Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books. Today, we're answering questions about the multiverse with Doctor Strange. And with me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Hi, Roxy.
Hi, DJ.
Oh, my goodness. We just did, for those listening, we just did our 300th episode. So you can go check that out. Super fucking cool. Had a bunch of guests. I will say, I don't normally go back and listen to our episodes because I just get, they're like an hour long. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go back and re-listen them. That one, because there's editing I did, and I did notice something that I don't think I did a particularly good job on because I didn't plan ahead of time, and so I was just kind of saying shit, and I didn't know how to land the plane. My attention was so focused on like putting everything together, I didn't really have a runway planned, and I don't think I adequately painted. I don't think I painted an adequate picture of how much Roxy, how much you've meant to the show over the years. Because the way I said it was like, oh, the show wouldn't be going with Roxy, which is true. But also, you have been part of the show since Super TV Showdown, which I think we started less than a year after we started. So you are an integral part of this show. You have been elevating the show since Super TV Showdown. You've been elevating the show since you became a main host on it, especially with the fact that like you bring to the table all the shows you watch, all the knowledge you have from the shows you watch. And it's great. It's been great to be able to talk to you every week about all the superhero shows, but also getting your insight on all the stuff that I don't watch. And you just bring a lot to the table. And I'm very thankful that you have been a part of this whole time and that you continue to be a part of it.
Thanks, TJ.
Yeah.
It's really, really sweet. I appreciate that. Do you remember? I don't even remember how it started. Like, how did you guys just call me? Is it because of SourceFed and I guessed it?
Yeah, because we had a good rapport through SourceFed, and then you were doing Flash and Friends, and then I was starting to think like, okay, we were thinking Patreon, and so we're like, okay, whatever we did on, I can't remember what it was called on SourceFed, but that thing, we should do that. And I was like, well, we should. I was thinking about Flash and Friends, and I reached out to you because of that. So I knew you had watched all the things, and I knew you worked well with us.
Because had you already been guesting on Flash and Friends?
I think once or twice, and I think the way it went down was Flash and Friends. You were like, I'm not sure I can do it with Flash and Friends going on, and then Flash and Friends went away, and I was like, perfect timing.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Wow, full circle. Okay. Mm-hmm. Damn.
Fun fact: if you listen to the, for those that listen to the 300th episode, I did our opening clip from our very first Super TV Showdown. I didn't realize soundboard right off the bat was
right
like
introduced. Yep.
And also the very first thing we talked about, Roxy, this kind of blew my mind, was the trailer had just dropped for New Mutants. And it was funny listening to us talk about it because at the time we had no idea the saga that was ahead of us of getting that New Mutants movie.
Yeah, that seems like a lifetime ago. But also when I think about all the places that we filmed that show, it also feels like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know everybody else says it feels like a lifetime ago and yesterday, but like I have especially with the Panini, I have no semblance of the timeline on that anymore.
Agreed. 100%. Anyway, enough Memory Road. Memory Lane, whatever it's called.
Memory Road.
Memory Road, coming to the theater near you. Starring Zac Efron. All the things. If you want to watch the show live, if you want to listen to it early without ads, if you want to check out shows like What We're Into or Spider-Versity, you can do that over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Please go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. And if you listen to this on Spotify, every week we ask you a question. Last week's question was, if you could replace any actor in any movie with Nicolas Cage, who would it be? Yashu Wazalewski said, not a specific movie, but I would love to cast Nick Cage as the male lead in any Hallmark or Lifetime movie just to make them absurd, which is a great idea and makes me think of Will Ferrell. And I think it was, anyway, Will Ferrell made a like funny Hallmark movie, but like did it completely straight faced. So that's pretty cool. And then Sailor Gaines 18 said Venom, and that would also be interesting. And I would like to also give a shout out for our producers over at Patreon. Some of them include Ash, Caitlin, Dylan, Kevin, and Hammy. If you would like to join our producers, there's going to be a poll going out soon. I'm going to be reaching out to you guys to decide what shows we are going to do for the podcast and what I should be watching for what we're into last month. you'll decide I was watching F-Boy Island. And maybe, just maybe if you're good, if you kids at home are good, maybe we can watch it together. Oh, bring back the watch-alongs. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. Now, Roxy.
DJ.
Let's get into news. There was a few things to talk about in news. I think there was a Game of Thrones trailer for House of the Dragon. I didn't watch that. But the one thing speaking of Super TV Showdown, a lot of those shows are going away. Legends of Tomorrow, canceled. Batwoman, canceled. It seems like that Wonder Twins movie that we just got casting for, canceled.
Do you think so?
I have no idea. I'm fine. After seeing the casting, I'm like, I'm okay if this goes away.
I like it.
I like it conceptually. We don't need to get into it. I know the Wonder Twins are aliens. I never perceived them as being white. That was not how I thought they were being depicted. And anyway, whatever.
Fair.
I think for us more, because we cover them a lot, was Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman, R.I.P. What do we think this means? And then there were rumors that they're trying to sell off CW. Obviously, Warner Brothers was just bought by Discovery, and it looks like Discovery, as CEOs and execs do, they got big plans, and those include making people lose a lot of jobs. What do we think this pertains to the future of our CW shows? I know Flash and Superman and Lois have been renewed for a new season.
Confusing at this point. With at least we don't have still the HBO Max and DC Universe and CW and CW Seed shows all happening at once, but I feel like it's all these conversations are impossible to have without the other, like when we're talking about what's going to happen with Amber and Ezra and how that's going to affect anything that goes down with DC. Or like, remember back in the day when we had Amanda Waller on Arrow, but now there's going to be an Amanda Waller show. But how would that not have an effect on Peacemaker or The Suicide Squad 3 or anything along those lines? So in terms of CW, it seems to be a very low priority for them right now. We also got that news earlier this year that CW had never been profitable.
Sounds about right. It sounds about right.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So I don't know what to make of. I love these shows. This tone is for me. So I'm bummed that we are clearly steering away from the campy, lighter, less important. You watch every episode. These shows that I love, because I feel like while most people's everybody has their introduction to these characters, like a lot of these characters are introduced to me by their CW shows that have been on since I was 20. And
because Flash is going into season 9. God damn. Shit. So that means Arrow had already been on 2 seasons. Fuck.
Yeah, they've been going on since I was in college. And so that a lot of my introduction, and if we're going to talk about Smallville even before that, because a lot of my introduction to these characters have been, especially the characters that are more on the outskirts. Obviously, I read enough growing up and knew enough growing up that I'm familiar with all of the A squads. But like a lot of the other ones, like I there's a place in my heart here. So your question was, DJ, what do I think this means for CW DC future? I have no idea, but I don't think it's going to be for Rox.
Yeah, probably. I know for me, I'm conceptually bummed, except I haven't watched Legends of Tomorrow for like seasons now. Like pretty much ever since Crisis on Infinite Earths, I was like, I'm good. I did it. I did my time. And there's a lot more competition in that space, because you just mentioned Peacemaker. We're getting a show with there's rumors that we're getting a show with Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Yes, please and thank you, please and thank you, please.
Also, you want that?
Yes, I think Amanda Waller is, one of the most compelling and best comic book characters in superhero comics. I think Viola Davis is one of the best actresses working right now. I think she's perfect for the role, and I don't think she's quite had the opportunity to like go full Waller. And so I'm hoping based on the news, I'm assuming it isn't a show about her. Like based on the news, I was like, wait, are we just getting, instead of, you mentioned a Suicide Squad 3, are we just getting a Suicide Squad show?
But it says it's about her and her daughter.
That is interesting. I mean, some of the things I like Amanda Waller because there's no other character really quite like her. She's kind of like Nick Fury in that she's like a government whatever, except she's 100 times more ruthless than Nick Fury is.
Right.
But she's not a villain.
Therefore,
she's
more interesting, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. But she's not a villain. Typically, I think in her best depiction, she's not a villain. She's just She's just ruthlessly pragmatic. She's going to do whatever she thinks is necessary, and she's not going to be stopped by anything. And in the comics, she has a family. She's just interesting, and so like. Is the first thing on my list a show about Amanda Waller and her family? No, but Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll watch that shit. James Gunn is producing, yeah. Gimme, I'll watch it. But she's not going to be busting down. I mean, she might. If anybody saw what was that heist movie she was in? You know what I'm talking about? It was her and Cynthia Erivo. What was that movie called?
Yeah, I do. On Netflix, you mean?
It wasn't. It went to theaters. I don't know if it ended up on Netflix. It was, but I mean, she was jacked in that role. So maybe she'll be doing like raids and shit. Who knows? But yeah, I'm into it. But the point is, I think there's more competition for this type of thing, and the landscape's changing. Like doing a season of 22 plus.
Oh, are you talking about Widows?
Yeah, that movie ruled. That movie was so good.
I either remember I saw it. I either really didn't like it or I really liked it. I don't remember.
There was another similar like Mob Wives Do a Thing movie that came out around the same time that wasn't as good, but Widows I thought rocked. But I'm a big crime genre fan, and Viola Davis was fucking jacked in that. So maybe she'll be doing fucking clandestine black ops shit. I'd be down for that. But there's just more competition, and the landscape's changing, and. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Grant Gustin in the Flash movie. We won't. Don't hold your breath, anybody. That's not going to happen.
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't think so.
Much love to Grant Gustin, but he doesn't have the chops.
What is this going to mean for young fans? Like, is there going to be a place for them? And is that just going to be on HBO Max?
You know what? Yeah, maybe just because of stuff like the new Gossip Girl. You watched it. I didn't. But obviously that was a CW show that transitioned to HBO Max. But I think you bring up a really good point in that there needs to be a good gate. I mean, these are people in brightly colored costumes and stuff. It needs to be accessible to kids. And I don't think in our current landscape, as saturated as it is, I don't think we've cracked that. Obviously, the Marvel stuff is all ages, but for the most part, there's some. Oh boy, there's one scene in Doctor Strange I'm excited to talk to you about. It was like, what? Anyway, for the most part, the MCU is.
You mean is it a gruesome moment?
It is. There's Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness should be R-rated. The fact that it's not R-rated.
There's one moment that made me think like, oh.
Yeah,
I do. I think that's like that. That's violence.
Yeah, and what's so funny is there's a sequence later that they don't show on camera, and it's like there's no way that is more violent than what you literally just showed my two eyes. Like I'm
excited to know what you're talking about.
This is a joke. Anyway, normally MCU is aggressively all ages, and I think they could actually do better to like maybe something like Moon Knight could be a little bit more kind of like targeted to an older audience. Basically, have something for everybody. And the problem is DC's kind of been the opposite, where it's like we're gonna have Batman say fuck and throw people off buildings and shit. And it's like, well, I mean, you know, I think you're right. If we lose these, there is a good chance that we also lose. Something that is accessible to a younger audience. Do you think we would get like a Gossip Girl-esque reboot on HBO Max? Like Flash the Next Generation?
But the new Gossip Girl show is like kind of gritty.
Okay.
It wouldn't go on the CW.
Yeah, and it's also like I'm sorry, I don't want HBO. I don't want that to be HBO's brand. HBO used to mean something, damn it.
I know. That's the tough part too. So I am conflicted. like, I don't have kids right now.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't have kids that are 10 that I'm starting to try to really like sit down and be like, this is these characters. I think if I did, I do think I'd be a little bummed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because while this is for us, DJ, it's definitely not primarily and solely for us.
Very true. I agree.
So, yeah, I don't know. I love the CW for that reason. And I loved the Arrowverse era. And it does feel like a lot of the creators, a lot of them are a little bit older than us, but a lot of people are right around our gen, so we're making things for ourselves as we come up.
Yeah.
And it's like, we were lucky enough to come up with those shows at a time where they were appropriate for us and a little bit younger than us.
Yeah.
And now we're age appropriate for this next wave of shows. It's like, there's got to be something else.
Yeah, and theoretically, sometimes like the animated shows should do that. I know they're working on a new Batman animated show, but I feel like that's also going to skew more dull. Like Young Justice, theoretically, is for younger audiences, but in the most recent episode, a guy got laser beams straight through his chest. So it's like, I don't.
Yeah, where's the Smallville or Flash kind of thing? And like, I do think that Marvel, not that it's always a comparison game, but I do think they're thinking about it more 360 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we get the announcements of what shows they're doing, I do feel like you and I constantly talk about like, oh, that one's for you. Oh, that one's for me. Oh, that one's for my little sister. Oh, that one's for, and this is kind of not like that.
Yeah. One hopes. Now, speaking of Marvel, transition, we're going to do a quick ad break. And then when we come back, Doctor Strange, spoiler free first, and then spoilers. We'll let you know. Wink, wink. We are back, everybody. Ooh, Roxy, I told you before the show that I went to a screening that was a little bit later than everybody else, a couple days later. But you know how much that couple days can mean.
Were we not at the same screening?
I went Wednesday.
Oh, so no.
No, yeah, I went Wednesday because that was the time that my wife was available to join me.
Oh.
And I was nervous because I knew everybody would have no secrets that I wouldn't. And you also know the closer you get to the movie, like the TV ads are like, hey, here's everything. Here's all the things. Yeah. Point is, I kept radio silence. Roxy, I don't know your thoughts on this. We're going to start spoiler free. We're talking about Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, coming out as of this recording this week. The IMDb synopsis says Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff. That is not the movie. That is not. I don't know where that came from. That's not how what this movie is. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 76% Rotten Tomatoes score and an audience score of 89%. And the critics are saying Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness labors under the weight of the sprawling MCU, but Sam Raimi's distinctive direction casts an entertaining spell. And of course, it's directed by Sam Raimi and written by Michael Waldron, who I believe was also the main writer on Loki. So, spoiler free. Can I tell you, going into this, Roxy, I know your thoughts on Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. And I know your thoughts on Wanda and what the MCU has been doing with Wanda. So I have what I feel like is a reasonable guess on your feelings of this movie.
I think that would be fair. I did for those things that you just mentioned. I did not dislike this movie as much as I could have for sure.
Gotcha.
I liked the parts of this movie that I liked. I loved.
Yeah.
There were the aspects of this movie that I liked. I was like, that was awesome. But my two biggest issues, not with this movie, with the MCU in general, are so severely highlighted in this movie. Highlighted. They're so severely highlighted. That's what this movie's. Both those two things combined make up this movie. So that's a tough sell.
Okay, so what are the two? Is the how we're treating Wanda and Doctor Strange? Is those the two things?
Doctor Strange as a character, and the treatment of Wanda. Yes.
Did you like Doctor Strange any more in this movie because of Doctor Strange's appearances in the MCU so far? I liked him the most here.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I
There's one moment that I really loved him in this movie,
Okay.
but based on the ending of this movie, which I won't say what it is,
Yes.
is clearly about to be negated.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I love this movie. I loved it. I had a blast.
DJ, you loved this movie.
I love this movie. I loved
DJ,
it.
you loved it.
Okay, so here's the. I don't know if it's a thing of expectations because I went and going, man, this is going to disappoint me. I'm going to go in wanting a Sam Raimi movie and I'm going to get an MCU movie and I'm going to be bummed. And it felt like either they wrote the movie towards his sensibilities because he's like an elder statesman, or he was able to like just inject himself just enough. The closest this got to for me is Shane Black doing Iron Man 3, where it's like, oh, this is a Shane Black movie. This is like, yeah, I like Sam Raimi's directing a lot. I would argue, I think he's the best director that the MCU at this point, the best director the MCU's gotten, and
more than Taika.
I don't love Thor. I like Thor Ragnarok. I like Taika Waititi's other stuff
but you
more.
said best director the MCU has gotten.
Yes, I think so. I think because and here's why. So we just did for Spider-Versity, we just did Spider-Man No Way Home, which is also Doctor Strange centric, and there's at least 2 sequences in that movie, which is a movie I love. I genuinely enjoy. I rewatched it for the show, and it's like months have passed. I thought I was going to be over it. Still very emotionally impacted by that movie. But there's sequences, specifically like when Spider-Man fights Doctor Strange, that my brain, it's not even that I dislike it, it's just my brain just stop. It's like, okay, it's just white noise. It's like, okay, I just got to wait this out and then we'll get back to things that are engaging. Sam Raimi, at least for me in this movie, there's a lot of sequences where that could happen, but because of his sensibility, that never quite happened. He has such a good mastery of how to convey information to the audience and how to make action sequences engaging. And also, there's a lot of sequences that I can't get into without getting into spoilers where I feel like most Marvel movies would have shrugged and been like, well, magic happens. And Sam Raimi's like, no, what's the coolest thing we can fucking do here? What's the most creative way we can do this sequence? And again, I can't get into it with getting the spoilers, but there's things that happens like, yeah, how could you have this in a movie and not have me love it? Of course I'm going to love it. This is my jam. I think Doctor Strange, this is the first time I've liked Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange in a movie. I thought American Chavez was really well utilized and I thought she was good. Benedict Wong is of course great. I have questions to you about Wanda. Should we even, what
do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Even talking, because going in, I did not adequately understand Wanda's role in this, which makes me feel like for me to say what Wanda's role in this feels like a spoiler. Do you think it's a spoiler?
Yes.
Okay.
Not to people who like read comics and have been watching trailers and stuff, but in general, it is a spoiler. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let's answer these questions and then we'll move on to spoilers because I think I've exhausted. I really liked it. Maybe I'll watch it again and I'll see all the things, but like, I remember watching Spider-Man No Way Home for the first time. And again, it was a movie I really enjoyed. It's a movie I cried in. But there's a lot of parts where it's like, ugh, that actor is on a green screen. Ugh, that's dicey. This one was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's creative. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's a great, you know what I mean? It's like, and every time, whatever, I liked it. Cage96 asks, how Sam Raimi are we talking? Are we putting in some horror in the movie? I had some friends that I saw were like, it's a horror movie. I would not say this is a horror movie, but boy, howdy, it has the most horror elements of any Marvel thing we've done so far. Because there's at least one sequence that's like, oh, this is a slasher film. I'm watching a superpowered slasher film.
I think that it's as much a horror movie as Ragnarok or Guardians is a comedy. So, like it's in there. It's in there. They're all superhero first.
Yes. That's a great way of describing it.
Definitely horror elements for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the one moment that I don't know if my moment's the same as your moment.
I'm so excited to find out. I'm so excited.
My moment, I audibly went, ooh.
Yeah, me too. And it was less because of what happened and more that it happened in this movie. I was like, wait, are we doing this now? Is this something we're allowed to do in a Marvel movie now?
I was just like, when you're watching something and then when it's on the radio or you're listening to something, but then on the radio, they change the word.
Yeah.
When I was watching this, I was like, when they play this for the people that aren't me, are they gonna
Are they
blur
gonna,
this?
dude? So Sam texted me after he saw it. He went with his nephews to go. His like young nephews, and I was
No.
like, how'd that play? How'd that go?
What did they think? What did he think?
He was worried they were going to have nightmares. And I was like, yeah, that seems legitimate. That seems like a valid concern. So anyway, we'll get into that. Jake Hefner asks, did Multiverse of Madness do anything different from the MCU formula that you want to see more of in future films?
Yeah. But no spoilers?
Not yet.
So yes.
Cool. For me, non-spoilers, get good directors and let them direct. Do that more. Do that because that would be cool.
What do you think what movie was the opposite of doing that?
Watching the MCU Spider-Man movies, I could not tell you what John Watts' directing style is, other than good at taking notes from Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal. Like it's just very like, this exists. You know what I mean? Like this is the camera, but honestly, that's a lot of MCU movies. There are standouts, like obviously movies that are more comedic focused. You just mentioned Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those stand out less because of the directing, the visual directing. The visuals are more of the character interactions of the comedy. I think the next closest for me is maybe like Ryan Coogler in Black Panther. Like you can see like, oh yeah, this feels like for the parts, this feels like a Ryan Coogler movie against Shane Black. But for the most part, like Peyton, the night and day between the Ant-Man that Edgar Wright started working on and then left, and then the Ant-Man that Peyton Reed got to do all by himself. You know what I mean? Like it's like for me, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can see the difference there.
I don't feel the same. I feel like to be honest, I kind of feel like the MCU has never had a bad director. But I do think that they've had people who had their dick in the soup too much. Fun fact, today I was on Screen Junkies for the first time in a long time, and I didn't know, I couldn't gauge what the rules are about what I was allowed to say.
Yeah.
And I've always used the expression, one of my mentors used to use dick in the soup. And so I just think it perfectly paints what we're talking about. Like if I say like somebody had their dick in the soup, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I was about to say that on the show today, and I go, they had their hand in the soup, if you know what I mean. And everybody was like, what? And I was like, it just doesn't work the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
As when you have your dick in the soup.
So let's use that as our transition to stick our dicks in the soup. For spoilers for those watching live, and I guess those listening at home. Look out! Spoilers are coming. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I've got this broken up into sections, but let's go. We've danced around it. So. We'll talk about the Illuminati more. Obviously, everybody going to this was excited for the Illuminati. And the Illuminati in the movie consists of Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo, Haley Atwell as Captain Carter, Lashana Lynch as Captain Marvel. I believe in the chat, clarify for this. I believe that is Anson Mount, who played Black Bolt in that god awful Inhumans TV show. It looked to me like they got him back to play Black Bolt again, which is one of those. At first, it was like, oh, good for them, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, he's still poor Anson Mount, man. He's just not. We're not getting any Black Bolt love in the MCU. And then, oh God, fuck, my brain checked right out when this happened. John Krasinski becoming a living meme and being Mr. Fantastic. God damn it. And then, of course. In a classic Marvel fashion, the movie treats it like this is a reveal, but obviously it was spoiled in the trailer. We got Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
It was kind of spoiled in the trailer, but more spoiled when Patrick Stewart confirmed that it was him in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, and also, I guess the reveal is like, he's in the chair from the animated series. And like, cool. But it's also one of those, like, I love Patrick Stewart. He's great. But he is not getting any younger. And it's like, oh.
We also didn't know it wasn't spoiled because... You know, it's not like when we were falling through the multiverse, we just see him real quick.
Yeah.
Like, he really has a role in this.
Yeah, he does. And the whole Illuminati does. For me, So what we're talking about, the couple things we're talking about is one, something I did not realize going into this is that Wanda is the antagonist of the movie. She's not frenemies. She is the bad guy. We'll get to I was leading to the moment, but there's a lot to get to the moment that really shocked me. Let's talk about that real quick, because a couple questions for you, Roxy, with knowing how big a Wanda fan you are. What did you think of how they treated Wanda? And also, side question, has Elizabeth Olsen given the same performance twice in a row for Wanda, or is each time it's kind of she's kind of doing a different thing? Because a good part of this movie, it's like, I know she's supposed to be like possessed by the book, but is this Wanda?
That's exactly how I feel about Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I feel as if he does not. I think that every time that Benedict comes to the screen, he is playing a drastically different character.
Okay.
Which is why I don't. When you say, "Do I like him better?" I don't even understand who he thinks Doctor Strange is.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's really necessarily his fault. I think it is the multiple writers, all the different directors, and him. Like, sometimes he's suave, sometimes he's a dick, sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's stupid.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's the smartest in the room, sometimes he's arrogant. Like, I just can't tell what are his qualities.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way about Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Wanda. I do certainly feel that way about how Wanda is being portrayed. Mm-hmm. Like, the way that I think Elizabeth Olsen is wildly talented.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she is so good. You say, here's the range, play inside, and she goes boom, 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 boom. Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible. But number one, I think it's really strange that we are now requiring people to watch TV shows in order to understand a movie.
Yes.
I mean, because if you did not watch WandaVision, talk about left field.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like, I don't think this is how people enjoy Marvel movies at this point, but I was trying to imagine the hypothetical person that watched movies the way they used to be, where they watch Doctor Strange 1 and they're like, oh, Doctor Strange 2. I'll just go in and watch this. And then I was like, okay, but most people know that that's not how Marvel movies work. So what's a more reasonable thing? A more reasonable thing would be to just watch the movies he was in. Doctor Strange 1, Infinity War, Endgame. And even that person, having watched those three movies, who would have seen Wanda in Endgame would be like, kids, what? And they're, what? What's happening?
So the thing is, I do think that you would pick up what happened. Based on this, I think you would, not everything that happened, but you would pick up, here's what you would pick up if you hadn't seen Wanda.
Yeah.
Okay, at some point, she had kids.
She made up kids.
Made up kids. And then at some point, those kids got taken from her, I think is what you would think happened.
Yeah.
But then you would also be like, but somehow also in other universes, she didn't make them up. They are hers. Somehow, maybe that was explained in the show, which it wasn't.
It wasn't. What's funny is you could watch WandaVision and still kind of be confused, because I was under the impression that show ended with Wanda's a good guy, and this movie was like, fuck that. No, she's not.
Well, actually, this movie at first was like, look at her in these beautiful trees. She is that good guy. And I was like, yes. Yeah. And then it was like, just kidding, double fuck you. And I was like, no.
Yeah. Which is also a weird scene, because how did Doctor Strange how did he get there and not realize he was in some sort of hell dimension?
Especially when he's like, it all smells really real.
Yeah. And it's like, wait, does he know?
No.
Anyway.
I don't know. But okay, so I think that what did you ask me in the first place?
It was her portrayal. The main question was this transition from her to like a villain.
Watching.
Yeah.
Watching WandaVision really helps, at least us understand that she has had severe trauma.
Yeah.
But people's response to me continues to be the same thing. But it happened in the comics. Just because something happens in the comics does not mean it's earned in the movies.
And also, to your point, it doesn't really. I mean, this is not House of M. This is different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
She's bad in some of the comics. She's a bad guy in some of the comics.
Yeah.
But still, regardless, they're requiring us to watch a TV show to understand this movie. That's one thing. They're not requiring us to have read all the comics to understand what the turn is here. So what I really don't like, if this was the first, second, third, fourth, 5,000th time that we've seen a woman gain her her biggest power, the most amount of power, and when she gains that power, she is evil.
Yes.
Saying when women get their highest power, they're evil.
Yeah.
If it was the first time that something had shown that, okay, interesting storyline, but it's the 5,000th. And I take this one personally because it's my favorite. She's my favorite hero.
Yeah.
And they made her my favorite hero.
Yeah.
And they said, this woman is better. This woman can withstand. And the trauma happens, but she is built for it, and she's going to persevere, and she's still going to help people. And then it said, never mind, just kidding, she can't.
Yeah.
And I think that they did that very abruptly, and Elizabeth Olsen did the best she could to show that, but the story didn't dictate that. And every time she says, but I'm a mother, I'm like, and so you're going to, like, America's a kid, bro.
Yeah. And they try to do there's a lot of examples of this in comicdom and superhero storytelling. The one that jumps to mind the most is, because something I like about the movie, a couple things. One, just in pure terms of the movie itself. One, I felt like I mentioned WandaVision ended on hey, Wanda's a good guy now. And I'm like, like she's not been held accountable for any of the shit she did. And so on that level, I was kind of glad that the movie, it did like when Doctor Strange is like, no, you made it right. It's like, no, she didn't. And so I'm glad that it's like, no, Wanda's bad. And also we're not going to, because I feel like it would have been easy to be like, oh no, she's good now. It's like, duh, body count's too high for that one, my guys. It's the ship has sailed on this. And so I'm kind of glad it's like, okay, if this is the direction we're going, I'm glad we're committing to it. I'm not saying it's the right direction to go, but if it's what we're doing, I'm glad we're committed to it. Also, again, in those parameters, I think it does make Wanda arguably the most compelling villain we've ever gotten in the MCU. Like, I know her motivation. It makes sense to me. I think Elizabeth Olsen is doing a good job. She's scary as shit. Like, it's like she's a good bad guy.
You have to pause on it makes sense to you, because what makes sense? Just the fact that she loses vision, she loses her kids, so she rips shit up to try to get back her kids? Are you saying just that? Or are you saying you fully understand why Wanda in some places is able to have children versus in this universe that she doesn't?
I mean, like, why are all the three Peter Parkers look different and different? You know what I mean? It's like, it's movie bullshit. So like in one, she has these kids. Not necessarily that.
Or no vision?
No, Roxy. No, she slept with her brother, and that's how she had the kids. They're Pietro's kids. No, not necessarily that, but just the idea of, I think the motivation of, I had these kids, I wanted to find them again. I used this dark tome to find them. It corrupted me. But that motivation of wanting to find my kids, it's like, oh, that makes more sense than Thanos is like, I guess half having the population will fix things. Like, it's more tangible. So on that level, I liked it. I do feel like down the road, there's rumors that we'll get a Scarlet Witch movie. If it were up to me, I would pluck one from the multiverse and kind of like start from scratch and not try and redeem this one. Because again, I think the body count is too high for me as an audience member to be like, it's okay now. But what I was getting to,
non-redeemable. She's not redeemable now.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't try that. But if they were to, what I was getting to is that in the comics, it reminds me the closest to Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. He snapped, killed the whole Green Lantern Corps, wiped out a city. Like, he did a bunch of bad shit. And then like decades later, they're like, oh, he was possessed by an alien. And that's what did it. And it's like, okay, Hal's good now. That story, the rebirth story is good. I personally wouldn't have brought Hal back, whatever. If they do it, I'm thinking if they do try to redeem this Wanda, it'll be like, the book is what did it, which is a cop out, but whatever. Again, we saw a good Wanda in this movie. It's like, just have it be her universe. Our Wanda, fuck that Wanda's universe right to hell. So maybe she can pop over to ours. I don't know. Speaking of that universe,
I have a question about that for a
yes,
second. Is your interpretation of the scene in which Patrick Stewart is in Wanda's head?
yes.
Is your interpretation of that the Wanda whose body she's taken over is that Wanda inside her there?
That my wife asked me the same question. Yeah, the one he's trying to pull from the rubble is that universe's Wanda. And
it's not our Wanda's. Okay, I'm with you. I agree.
Is what I think the movie's trying to communicate. Again, if they try to do a Scarlet Witch movie later, they might try and like backseas, like actually, whatever. But I think what the movie was communicating is that's Patrick Stewart's Wanda. Scary Red Mist Wanda is our Wanda, who again was very scary. Let's talk about the Illuminati. Before that, ads. You knew it was coming. We're back. Oh my goodness, we're back, and we're here to talk about the Illuminati. And this is what talking about how scary Wanda was. This is what we were kind of talking around. For me, Roxy, the moment I was like, I also audibly gasped was when fucking Black Bolt blows out his own brain. I was like, how are we? How is this okay to and then later they're like, when Captain Carter gets cut in half, it's like, no, we don't show that. And I'm like, how is that less graphic than a person literally blowing up his own, a part of his head collapses in? How is this PG-13? Our rating system is a joke.
That is not my moment, DJ.
What is your moment? Is it when Mr. Fantastic's head pops?
Nope.
What's yours?
Mine is when evil Doctor Strange falls on the spike and it goes through his entire body.
Yeah.
And we see him get like impaled by this like fence.
Which didn't we make a whole big deal? Wasn't there a whole thing in Avengers that we couldn't show Coulson get stabbed from behind? Like it was a thing?
This was crazy. And then his lifeless body's like, it kind of reminded me of in Amazing Spider-Man 2, the best rom-com of all time, when she is falling and then her body smacks the ground and we know she's dead.
I love that you called Amazing Spider-Man a rom-com, and then because I was going to be, is it? And then you went to the darkest moment of that movie.
For sure. And like that. Yeah. And you're like, you hear that smack. And
yeah.
It's like, oh.
You're like, oh no. No, yeah. For me, it was when Black Bolt blew out his own brain. I was like, fuck. It just shows you that like there's, again, this is one of those, there's the rules, and then here's how the successful people get to go around the rules. Listen, this is what PG-13 is, unless you're Marvel, and then you can kind of dictate to us, as long as there's no penises or breasts.
Or two people with penises kissing.
God forbid. God forbid.
God
forbid.
Because then we can't show our movies in some countries, and we're not fucking with that. So, yeah, there was a lot of dark moments here.
Dude,
there was a lot.
Fucking America Chavez. All we do is we say she has two moms. We show the two moms. That's it. And there's countries that are like, no, you can't show that. I'm like, they're just standing. You could literally, this. I don't even know if this counts as representation. You could literally just change the line and it would be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. That part's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, good that it's in there, but it's not like, again, if you can like change a line or cut a single scene and it doesn't change the movie, I don't know that you're changing the game. You know what I mean? Anyway.
I know we're about to talk about the Illuminati, but while you brought up America Chavez for a second, is there precedent in the comic books for how this person is from a completely different universe, yet her name is America and she's wearing Stars and Stripes of America? I mean,
theoretically, the universe we go to is America. So like there is America there. So she comes from another universe from America. I will say, I think her name comes from
America in other places. In other universes, they identify it as America.
Listen. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is from another universe, and he's just hanging around in New York with in America. So,
is New York in America?
Have we confirmed that Tobey Maguire's New York takes place in America? I will say, I think in the comics, there was a character called Miss America. We wanted to reboot her, and so to keep the Miss America thing, we made this character's first name America, and which is fine in the comics. But when you have people saying we need to save America, it's like, okay, What are we doing? What can we call her Chavez? Can we like, what do we, I mean, this is weird because it's not even like a metaphor. It's not even like we're talking about something else. We're literally just talking about the character, but it sounds like we're trying to make a point about something. We need to save America.
Best line. Oh, food is free in most of the.
Love it. Oh my God. The Bruce Campbell cameo is so fucking funny.
That's funny.
God, it's, fuck. I love that Sam Raimi's like.
Friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I love that like, Sam Raimi knows it's like, yeah, Bruce Campbell has a rubber face. He's basically a living cartoon character. Of course, we should put mustard in his face and have him hit himself. That's what we're going to have Bruce Campbell do. If anybody's ever watched the Ash versus the Evil Dead TV show, it's all that. It's just fucking chucking Bruce Campbell across the room and having him make funny faces. It's great. Anyway, yes, I agree with you. That line is great. That it's free and most. I feel like that's the most political the movie got. Are we on the Illuminati now? Or we did?
Yeah. Okay, so I have my first question for you on the Illuminati. It's
yes.
Very similar to my question about America. Okay. Coming from the so I'm not that familiar with the Illuminati.
Yes.
Did this Illuminati come from our Illuminati? What comes like?
So in the comics, the Illuminati is supposed to be like the top dogs kind of making choices that other people don't know about it. I believe it is originally, and you guys can correct me in the chat or whatever, I believe it is originally Professor X, Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Namor. Black Panther, I think, gets added later. I think Captain America gets added later. And they're basically people behind the scenes pulling strings. This classic comic book bullshit where it's like, you know that thing that happened 50 years ago? Turns out they planned it. It's like, all right, whatever, sure. So I don't.
Based on like our celebrity, like Madonna, Jay-Z.
No, I mean, no. The name is from that. The name is from the which again is fine in the comics. Once you have a character in a movie saying the Illuminati, you're like, maybe change the name. I don't.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Maybe don't do that. So the name comes from that, and I am led to believe from this interaction that the 616 mainstream MCU does not have an Illuminati, which makes sense because most of them don't.
And what are they? Eight what?
Huh?
Illuminati planet 8 something. What?
Oh, what planet they're on? I don't remember. I just remember in the comics, the mainstream Marvel universe is 616. Yeah. So it's 616 here. I don't remember what the number was.
Christine identified. I think she was like we're 86 something.
Something like that. Yeah. I also thought the multiverse stuff was a good way to get in characters like Mordo and Christine without like derailing them. Like, so we still don't know what our Mordo is up to. We can save that for the third one. But Mordo is in it. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it. He's fine. The one part of the movie that I was like, man, is I thought they did a good job with the powers. I thought everything looked really cool. For me, I know we established this in the previous movies, but for me, from the comics, Doctor Strange is not a kung fu fighting guy. He's not a fisticuffs guy. So that whole fight, as cool as it looked with him and Mordo, I was like, this is weird. This isn't. It's like if you had the Doctor from Doctor Who suddenly like fucking doing wuja shit. It is like, man, I don't know. But Chiwetel Ejiofor is great, so I'm happy to have him. Roxy, what did you think about the Illuminati reveal?
I thought that was amazing. It was my favorite part of the movie because like my little nerd heart was beating super hard. I do hope that I do hope this is our casting for Reed Richards. I know you don't, but I do hope so.
Okay.
I always hope so.
Yeah.
I also hope that he directs the movie.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I want to see John. I want to not only see John Krasinski star, but also direct the film.
I think I have been under the impression, and it sounds like this isn't the case with you, but for the rest of Twitter, I feel like the only reason we want John Krasinski to be Reed Richards is because we want Emily Blunt as Invisible Woman. And I think Emily Blunt as Invisible Woman, great. I think this for me proved, oh yeah, John Krasinski's a bad Reed Richards. He's not good at it. He's not. Because
what did you think wasn't good?
I want Reed Richards to convey to me that like, oh, this is the smartest guy in the room. And I do not buy that with John Krasinski. I do not. It's like, oh, just blandly handsome white guy. Okay. I just don't.
No, he has such a like natural way about him that just really makes me think that he knows what he's talking about. And I love him and want to see more of him, but I don't think that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
I think there's a little bit, I think if every person online was like, he was amazing. He slaughtered. We got to see him. Then I think that Marvel would kind of perk their ears up. But I think that this was almost them throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
We're going to give you, this is fan service because you guys have been dream casting him. We're going to give it to you guys because this is so fun. And then we'll see.
Well,
we'll see.
It would also be confusing, not that this would necessarily stop them. So Maria Rambeau, same actress. I don't know if the Inhuman show counts as part of the MCU, but Anson Mount, we got him back. God bless him. I think, guys, confirm in the chat. Was it Anson Mount? Did you guys tell me in the chat whether it was Anson Mount? Because I couldn't find it on IMDb because, of course, they're trying to keep it under wraps.
Yes.
It was Anson Mount?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, I meant to look at the credits, but I was too busy talking to my wife after the movie. We got him back. But point is, Captain Carter's back, but we're not going to bring Patrick Stewart back, right? He can't possibly be the Professor X of the MCU because he's too old. He's just too old to be. What are you going to do with that Professor X? Is he already on the way out?
I think that they have left themselves in a good spot where not everybody is the same and everywhere. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't.
Yeah, because it would be. The point is, it would be weird if it was like everybody except Professor X. So it's like you're either committing to John Krasinski or Patrick Stewart, or you're not. Right? You've got to like make a call.
Well, it's not really everybody except for Professor X because like they're taking up different mantles, even though it's people that exist in the same places. So I think that they, no matter what they do, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like, well, how could it not be John Krasinski if it was John Krasinski here? Yeah. But it's also not like, how could it be John Krasinski if it was him there? They clearly, like, Doctor Strange looks the same in a lot of places. So I think they've left themselves in a good spot to really make whatever decision is best for whatever movie they're making.
I was also going to mention like Loki and the variants, and then I realized I still don't know the distinction. Are these variants? I don't know. I don't know.
There was a lot of questions about it, the same thing with Doctor Strange, if they're variants or not.
Yeah. I also, this probably works differently for different people. I personally like that they didn't bother, like, because there's a lot of rumors of like, is this going to introduce mutants? Is this going to reset? And it's like, no. It's not going to do any of that. It's just going to be Doctor Strange just bouncing around the multiverse. Roxy. So the things I really liked most of the movie. No, but I liked, so Doctor Strange runs into evil Doctor Strange. I am glad that it's not the Doctor Strange from What If, like people were suspecting, because you could even tell from the trailers, he's playing it differently. So if they said that's the What If Doctor Strange, is like similar to the Wanda situation, or your thoughts on Doctor Strange in general, it's like, he's behaving completely differently though, so it's not the same one. But during that fight, I feel like other Marvel movies would have been like, oh, and they throw magic at each other. This one, it's like, no, music notes. They're making music. They're using the notes to fight each other. Love it. I liked I don't think it's Shuma Gorath in the movie, but I like the tentacle monster. I loved, this was the part I was talking about, like, how could you have this in a movie and not have me love it? Roxy, this is a Marvel movie where Doctor Strange possesses his own dead body and rides into battle on a cape of demons.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's so fucking cool.
I like that. So it's a thin line for me because it is Doctor Strange. Keyword strange. Yeah. And so some of the things that they did in this movie that were strange really worked for me. That being one of them. Fine, fuck that face up. Make them all zombie. Give them a cape of fucking demons that are crazy fucking looking. Yeah. That all really worked. I feel like that had Raimi all over it and really worked for me. Giant eyeball CGI monster for the first 10 minutes of the movie that I'm not emotionally invested in at all doesn't work. So I feel like it was tough for me where a lot of this, my same issue with Shang-Chi, where I don't care about these CG creatures much. Yeah. And we had a lot of big CG monsters in this. I tweeted out and I got a lot of heat for it because I said this, I didn't like so many CG monsters, and people said back to me, oh yeah, because it's out of the realm of possibility that in a world with magic and witchcraft that there would be CG monsters. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying that it's out of the realm of possibility.
You just didn't care for it.
I just don't like it. Yeah. I just don't feel anything for it. Yeah. So it's hard for them to gauge, or at least when it comes to fans like me, because some of the weird shit and some of the CGI shit, like fucking deteriorated face and ghost whispering demons, loved that. I was like, what the fuck? This is a weird ass movie.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff I was like, I don't care. I do not care. Get me back to my characters.
Yeah. Before we go, we got to talk about the after credits scene. Actually, let's answer some questions first, and then we'll do after credits. Let's see. Let me see if I can find. I thought you sent it in the Discord, Leonard, but let me see if I can find your question. Oh my God, Leonard Kim, you asked a question. No, I can't find it now. They're saying I think it was 838 was the universe. Glenn Caesar points out that Iron Man is in Illuminati 2. That is correct. I forgot to list him. I lost the question. I'm sorry.
What was the precedent for this? A lot of people said that they thought that Iron Man was going to pop into this movie.
People saw the clip. There's an Iron Man in the Illuminati typically in the comics, and also people saw the clip of Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel and were like, it's Tom Cruise's Iron Man. And of course it wasn't. Yeah, we answered all these. We answered I'm just going to keep saying until I figure out what I'm doing, okay? So let's go into the after credits scene where we got, this probably didn't mean anything to you, Roxy. We got other than Charlize Theron, we got Charlize Theron as Clea, who in the comics is Doctor Strange's typical love interest. And what I liked about this, other than Charlize Theron is great, I very much liked the aspect of throughout the movie people asking Strange if he is happy and him coming to terms. For me, I thought the good for a zippy and kind of like don't think about it too hard, we're just going. I thought the movie did a good job of maintaining its overall theme with this idea of kind of accepting where you're at and not trying to move forward instead of move back. Like Wanda's whole thing is she's trying to get back to the kids that in her mind she deserves, she has. Strange throughout the whole movie is trying to get back. In some degree, we realize wants to get back to Christine. And the point is, and I like that the movie, even there's a Christine that lost her Strange and they have a connection and the movie's like, nah, they don't end up together. That we're not going to do that because that's not the point. The point is that he needs to move on. Christine is happier without him. Move on. And that is the theme. And so I thought the introduction, other than the fact that it kind of disrupts the ambiguous note the movie ended on, I kind of like the note the movie ended on, and then it's like, actually everything's okay. We end with like a shot of him with the third eye, and we're like, oh, what does this mean? Nothing really. Here's Clea. But I did like, yeah, we're moving forward. This plays, not only is it a fun cameo, not only is it Charlize Theron, but it plays to the theme of he needs to move forward. What did you think, Roxy?
I have the exact opposite feeling.
Cool.
On this. So Charlize is my favorite actress. I obviously had to do some hot research on Clea. And the second that I realized that this was going to be his future love interest, I was so sad. Because the only thing that I like about his character is his relationship with Christine in this movie. My favorite moment of the entire movie, and I am including when we see John Krasinski, when we see Patrick Stewart, I'm including all of it. My favorite movie of the entire film moment is that when Doctor Strange turns to Christine and says, I love you on every universe.
Yeah. You're a lover of love and shipper of ships.
I'm a lover of love. I'm a shipper of ships. And in that moment, I was like, I believe in soulmates. Yeah. And when somebody is your soulmate, I don't believe that every person has one. Yeah. You can have more, but when somebody is your soulmate, I don't believe that you should, when they say if you love somebody, set them free. I don't fucking get that. I don't fucking care for that. Yeah. I believe step up and be the right partner for somebody, be the person they deserve instead of telling them that they deserve better. And the whole fucking you're the one who holds the knife thing, I don't care. When he says that he loves her in every universe, I was just like, fuck this other dude she's with. I don't give a fuck. There's enough hers on different universes. You could be with one of them. And the last moments of the movie when he's doing that and there's that connection, I was like, wow, they really utilize Rachel McAdams well in this movie, way better than the first one. Yeah. And I can't wait until the day they're together. And then fucking Charlize comes through and I was like, no.
Well, listen, Roxy, maybe Rachel McAdams will get the cape and in a couple movies she'll be Doctor Strange.
I'm here for that.
And then the very last end credits is Bruce Campbell finishing punching himself because the spell lasts a while, looking at the camera like, it's over. Loved it. What a good note for me to leave on. I will get this question, a couple questions. I found them. Kayla Marie, where was Viz in the different universe? Wouldn't she want to be with him too? Vision, Paul Bettany is busy being in Johnny Depp's DMs. That's where Paul Bettany is right now.
That's what I'm saying about the kids. Are they not visions? Is she like what's happening?
Let's keep in mind, Vision is a robot. So
that's what I'm saying.
So I don't know
who's Wanda fucking in the other universes.
Her brother, Roxy. It's super gross.
In other universes, it might not be gross.
We're gonna leave that at that. The Game
Everywhere
of
it's
Thrones.
gross. Everywhere it's gross. Game of Thrones.
Check out House of the Dragon
justifying.
coming to HBO. And then Leonard Kim asks, also, what are your thoughts on the implications of the multiverse as we move forward in the MCU? I'm hoping not a lot. I mean, again, it's just there if they need it. Like, hey, everybody loves Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch, and we dropped a building on her. I say leave that building on her and just pluck another one from the multiverse without all the baggage. And also, note to the just MCU between, we had Moon Knight this week, we had Doctor Strange. Avengers, you need to invest. You have God level characters with mad PTSD. You need to get a therapist on staff. It is a problem. You should have done it in Civil War. You should have done it after Avengers 1. Like with Hulk. You have Hulk. Why is there not a therapist on call? And you pay them all the money, all the Tony Stark money. You need it. This was a ticking time bomb waiting. If it wasn't Wanda, it was going to be Hulk. It was going to be somebody else. It's a problem.
Pitch it.
Okay. Those are the questions. Those are our thoughts. Roxy and I covering all the bases, liking it, disliking it. Let us know what you thought. Tweet it at us. Roxy, where can they tweet at you?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
Wait, the World Girls podcast, Bitch Out of Water. Tell them about it.
Yeah, it's doing well. Thank you, everyone. Bitch Out of Water. This most recent episode, Steph talked about being mixed, and she actually wrote an incredible poem where she talks about how people always approach her and say, "What are you?" and how she responds to that. So for all you mixed baddies out there, that episode is for you. And this coming episode, we're going to do, this is exclusive here. I guess I'm announcing this for the first time. We're doing being a woman on the internet. So we're talking about being a woman on the internet.
It sucks. Spoiler alert. But just outside perspective, it seems like not a good time.
So we wanted to get a wide range. So we texted some of our most successful women on the internet friends and got their quotes on it. And then we read their quotes and we discuss what they are saying are the hardest or the best parts about being a woman on the internet. So it's a good one that's coming out on Wednesday.
Very cool. And I will say, I always feel a little uncomfortable saying the name of your show, but it is.
I love it.
It is the name of your show. So,
why DJ though? You're not saying.
I know. It's just, every time I say it, I have to pause. Like, is this okay?
I think that's kind of the point, though. Is it? It's a little out there.
What is wait? I'm trying to remember the segment in the show. Is it the P's and the Q's?
Pros and cons?
Yeah.
We do our pros and cons.
Yeah. I love it again, but I just wouldn't, I don't know that I would say it.
Yeah, totally.
But I love that you're doing it. So please go check that out.
Isn't that about the freedom of choice, DJ? That you don't have to do it yourself, but you can love that we're doing what works for us.
Just let people live their lives. Boy, howdy, I have opinions on all that, but that's not what this show's about. Anyway, maybe another episode. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash every place that matters. You can find this show at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter.
Take out the vowels from stupid.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us live. We will be back next week. And, of course, you can listen to our show, What We're Into, and Spider-Verse on Patreon. So go check it out. Bye, everybody.